Okay, Didi.
No.
Okay. Omagyanatvinandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshormilitanjena tasmai shri guruve namaha urabhishta supurakam guruganeshisha sambhushitam chincha samastaveda nipunam shrirupa pantanugam govinda vidamujvalam maratanam bhaktyamritam sundaram Vande Vishwaguruncha Divya Bhagavat Premno Ibijapradam Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvise Namaha Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Vipa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Well, we're very fortunate because this morning the devotees have engaged me in some seva. So, this is the best way to control the mind. Speaking Harikatha. So my mind needs that kind of engagement. So it's my good fortune I have that. It's come to me by the grace of Guru and Vaishnava. So we have two questions, and first I'm going to address Sundar Gopal Prabhu's because it's related to the question the other night, part 2, regarding if someone commits Vaishnava aparad, the mad elephant offense, and their tender creeper of devotion is uprooted, they lose their spiritual wealth, they lose their desire. And we heard from Shripad Tyagi Maharaj a few days ago something interesting on the Prikrama I hadn't heard before. It's described was it Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or another text? I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't Bhakti Rasamrita, but somewhere it's been described the symptoms of Vaishnava aparad. I remember Sridhar Shava Prabhu, he commented on this very nicely once. It's not like some demon's gonna come and some frightening demon's gonna come and hey, you've committed Vaishnava aparad, you're going to hell. It may not be so dramatic as that. But you lose your desire. That was the main point that Vaishnava Maharaj made. You lose your desire for association, for sadhu sangha. You lose that feeling of necessity within your heart. You think you're okay. You think you don't need it. That's the most dangerous thing. And Tyagi Maharaj mentioned, I think, 4 things in particular. Material desire will increase within our heart. Lack of faith. And there were 2 other points. But this is the main point, that we will lose our that mood of hankering, that mood of necessity, that hunger for Krishna consciousness and hunger for other things in the world, that will increase, So Prabhu's part 2 question was, is there any hope? There's always hope. There are different Vaishnava Sampradayas. I believe it's in Madhvacharya Sampradaya. They believe that there's such a thing as eternal damnation. I think Christianity, they also believe that, right? You're just eternally damned. If you're damned, that's it.
But hell, right?
Yeah, but in the sense of an eternal punishment. Maybe there's different sects of Christianity, but I believe some of them, they believe that, right? You either go eternally to hell or you go eternally to heaven.
There's also middle
the purgatory or something, yeah. Right? But anyhow, one of the Vaishnava Sampradayas, I believe Madhvacharya, they do believe that there's such a thing as eternal damnation. That if a soul commits some great atrocity, then they're forever denied the opportunity of, their realizing their eternal life in the eternal world. But that is not our conception, that is not the conception of Mahaprabhu's line. But it's simply that, not simply, it's not a light matter, but if one and remember there's degrees here. You know, we're all committing Vaishnava aparadha on some level, just criticizing, you know. Actually, the expression there is Sadhu Ninda. Ninda means criticism. Gurudev explained it as being the opposite of Kirtan. Kirtan means to praise, to glorify, which is what we should be doing about the Vaishnavas. So Sadhu Ninda is the opposite of Kirtan, to criticize the Vaishnavas. So any type of critical, and even it doesn't have to be verbal. Gurudev has also pointed that out. Because normally in Kali Yuga it's mentioned that sin is not counted, that is committed within the mind. In previous ages it was like that. But because our minds are so out of control, as we all know, in this Kali Yuga, there's some special dispensation given that sin that is committed within the mind, there won't be a reaction for that. However, with Vaishnava aparadha, that is not the case. Gurudev has mentioned that. Because it is not connected to the sagun plane, this material, temporary world, but it is connected to the nirgun plane, the soul plane. So, if we're disrespecting a Vaishnava, they have quality on the nirgun side, on the eternal plane. So that is very serious consequence. So even mentally, if we harbor any type of, ill will or inimical attitude, envious attitude towards a Vaishnava, then we will suffer some result for that. So there's degrees, any type of critical mentality that we have towards a Vaishnava, then that's going to check our progress to some extent, depending on the severity. But it will have to be very serious for us to completely lose whatever we've had. So, there are degrees here. I lost my train of thought. There was something else I was...
That to revive that desire again. No?
Yeah, I'm coming to that, but I'm trying to think, what was it in my... Maybe it'll come back. Oh yeah, so just to clarify also, there's often confusion as to what constitutes, offense. It's not that if you knock over somebody's cup of water or you step on their toe and they get angry at you, then you're a big aparadi, Sometimes devotees, they get a little paranoid like this, Or they may do something that really upsets a senior Vaishnava, right? Then understandably they become worried. But that doesn't count, actually. That's their problem. That's the problem of that senior Vaishnava, actually. Srila Sridhar Maharaj has stated that very clearly. A Madhyam Adhikari Vaishnava, they still have anarthas. Madhyam Adhikar is quite high, but still, they're dealing with issues. So just because we've made someone angry, even a senior Vaishnava, doesn't necessarily mean that we've committed Vaishnava aparadha. It's a question of our own intention. The intention within our own heart. And even criticism, if we are observing like in a critical way, in the sense of, like an observer with a mood of... like an educational mood, like you're observing what is right and what is wrong, and you may even use it as an example to others. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has discussed that in one place. Sometimes in the scriptures, examples will be given, this person did such and such, and this is an example of what not to do. So that's not a spirit of fault finding. That's not an offensive mentality or an offensive approach. So, what really constitutes offense is if it's like we have some envy or we're really really want bad for somebody. We want to find their bad and we want bad for them. We can't tolerate that they will have some good or they may be superior to us in some way, but we have ill will. We wish badly for them. That is what we have to be careful about. That, you know, that mentality of just like focusing on that negative thing without being able to appreciate their good quality, and without any, you know, like wishing well for them and hoping well for them and wanting to help them. So that's what we have to really be careful about. But if it's an extremely rare case of someone committing very serious Vaishnava aparadh and they lose everything, then you can say like they are at square zero. They've lost their wealth and they will be like a common soul in this world. You know? But there's still hope for them, yes. Brahmanda Brahmite kon bhagyavan jeev Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata beach. They still, that opportunity is still there for them to come in connection with the grace of the Lord through the Vaishnavas. Why are the Vaishnavas, I mean Vaishnav in the purest sense, why are they wandering this plane? Just to distribute Sukriti. You know, why did our Gurudev travel all over the world and go to so many places, go to hospitals, and just to spread Sukriti? For that reason. So, you know, these sadhus, they are wandering this world and meeting so many lost souls and giving them some touch of that nirgun plane, giving them an opportunity to begin their eternal life. So, yes, there is always hope. It's never a... And I mean, I'm kind of glazing over things because, you know, how many millions of lifetimes may pass before one can achieve such an opportunity. So, you know, while we have the opportunity, we want to take advantage of it. We want to utilize it. But there is always hope. Hope is always there. The Lord is so kind, so merciful. He tolerates offenses towards himself, but his offenses towards his devotees, and he's more serious about that. You know. I was just thinking of the case of Putana, right? She came to kill Krishna, but Krishna, the people who try to kill Krishna, he's very kind to them. He gives them liberation. He's very merciful to them. He doesn't care, you know, if people are offensive towards himself. But his devotees, you know, that... So it's interesting, you know, that is the very first offense to the holy name, to the devotee. So we have to be careful. And then on the positive side of things, it's not only that we are avoiding, but on the positive side, we want to praise, we want to appreciate, not just in an external social sense. I mean, that is helpful too for the harmonious running of a mission, but really, from our heart, we need to develop that mood of appreciation. We need to change our whole mentality, actually. We have to, you know, if we want, as Gurudev has expressed it, if we want to receive the grace of Mahaprabhu, and we see that somebody else has already received the grace of Mahaprabhu, then we have to appreciate that, you know. Otherwise, why will Mahaprabhu give us mercy also? So we may have to dig deep within ourselves and see how we need to change our whole outlook, our whole perspective on things. It's not that in an artificial way we like have to keep checking ourselves, but we need to begin to look at everything in a positive way. We need to seek good in others, and we need to correct our own self. These are two principal characteristics of genuine Vaishnavas. That always looking to themselves, how can I correct myself? And seeking good within the environment. So purifying our own self, rooting out our own negativity, and seeking positivity from the environment. This is Paramahamsa Dharma. So these are two very important things we have to do in our daily spiritual practice.
Sometimes we hear, if that is possible, also to ask for apologies to the person you commit offense to.
You mean ask for forgiveness?
Yeah.
Make an apology.
Make an apology.
Yeah.
If that is possible.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's according to the nature of the offense we've committed. There has to be something to rectify it. That is true. Yeah. If we've done something publicly, then there should be some public apology. That has been discussed by our gurus. Absolutely. If it was on a personal level, then on a personal level we can try to seek some conciliation, apology, like that. I understand what you're referring to, but what is your point here?
I mean, what the name is when apologies were done publicly, right? In this case.
Well, I mean, this is a little we're speaking here more in terms of correcting our own self. But yeah, that example can, well, I'm not sure if it's exactly related. I mean, what you're thinking of is there was one Brahmin, Brajbasi Brahmin, who he spoke offensively about Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. It wasn't such a serious offense. It was more just foolish and arrogant. Because in one place, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he expresses that he's praying for the blessings of so many persons, and including the Brahmin section and the residents of the Dham of Vrindavan. He asks for in one of his prayers, in a very humble mood. And so this very foolish man, he made some public comment. Oh, we are so great, we can bless Raghunath Das Goswami. And Srila Saraswati Thakur heard that, and he said, we can. This is an offense to our sampradaya. Raghunath Das Goswami, he is our Prayojana Charja, and we cannot tolerate this. So he began to fast, and his whole camp started to fast. And then eventually this man, he heard about this, and it was explained to him, how foolish he was, and he came and apologized. And somebody asked Srila Saraswati Thakur, why did you even bother responding? He's just like some ignorant man, like who cares what he says or what he thinks? And Srila Saraswati Thakur said, because I'm an acharya, because I'm holding this position, so it's my duty to defend the dignity of our Guru Varga. But if I had been an ordinary Babaji, I would have just left, But I have this kind of duty.
Concerning this question, like we have Vaishnava etiquette, and for people, for me, who are from West, can do some offenses, not intentionally, because just I don't know the rules. So in this case, what to do?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, that's not counted so seriously. Real serious offense is if there's some intention there. Of course, there will be some reaction there because you're creating a disturbance in the upper plane. That is what offense means, really. The word aparad, it is the opposite of aradhana, this mood of worship. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he defined aparad as hateful handling of the holy things. So we are creating some disturbance in the upper plane. It's an invisible world to us at present. That's why we have to, it's so easy to create some disturbance. It's like that expression, a bull in a china shop. China. Nowadays people don't use that word. But, in a porcelain, yeah. So you have all these delicate, fine, teacups and teapots, and you have this big bull, he'll just take one step or take one breath or sway his tail and, everything's destroyed, So like that, we're these very rough people, and we're creating this devastation, and it's this very subtle and fine world, and so many fine things are going, so many fine sentiments. And we're just this very rough, low class kind of people who are disturbing everything, So yeah, we're creating some disturbance there, and there will be some reaction for that. But it's not that it is counted, it is in such a serious way, this Gurudev, he would quote this, and it's in Prapana Jivanamrita. The baby is passing stool on the lap of the mother. And the mother is okay. She's happily tolerating that. That's our position. But that's why it's indispensable. One of the reasons why it's indispensable, we have the connection of a superior Vaishnava. We have the connection of our Guru. Because the Guru is like the parents, who's tolerating, affectionately tolerating, and slowly, gradually trying to enlighten us. So with we have a recommendation from them, and they're with me, it's okay, Don't mind them, they're with me, I'm taking care of them. I'm sorry, I'll take the flack. But so in that bad intention, that is what will have a serious consequence for us. And also another thing about these, one way Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur comments on this is, he says, he mentions it in a very subtle way, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj elaborates on it, that a child, a young child, their immune system is very weak. And so many diseases can attack them, right? But as they become stronger and they grow, then they'll be in a better position to protect themselves. And so in the same way, when we are very new on the path of devotion, it's inevitable that we will be subject to so many offenses, right? So many offensive mentalities. We're in a baby, very weak condition. And there's so many materialistic ideas that are floating around within our head, floating within the environment. And it's understandable that, in a sense, we're attacked by those material conceptions. So in the stage of a newcomer, that is to be expected, that is understandable. And as we become stronger in our conception, stronger in our understanding, then we will become more free of those things. So, yeah, and you know, we also want to be like kind of awake, and we don't want to be stuck at class, you know, kindergarten level forever, you know. We don't want to be like that practitioner who's been going on for 30 years and we still haven't understood the basics, you know. We want to like kind of keep up and be smart, you know, and try to understand what lessons are there for me, you know. It's like we're in a school, you know. Maybe we're not being given a formal examination and a formal certificate, you're in this level or that level, but it's really like that, you know, in a subtle sense. And it's not determined by how many years you've been practicing. Someone who's been practicing 1 year may be more advanced than someone who's been practicing for 50 years. I've seen that before. I mean, from you know, my humble estimation. So yeah, we want to kind of be awake and understand that world is real, and our guardians are real, whether we can see them or not, and they're trying to teach us something at every step. So we need to be awake and, you know, be alert, pay attention, listen, do what I'm supposed to do, and understand what lessons are being given to me, and learn them and pass them. And then we can continue to make progress. We don't want our spiritual life to ever be a static thing or a stagnant. We don't want to be stuck, you know. And then the danger is if we get stuck, then we turn to something else, materially or spiritually. We see that. Oh, there's nothing actually here. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he expresses that very nicely, I think, in Sri Guru and His Grace, that we have to search in the right way. Otherwise, if we're searching in the wrong way, we may come to a certain point and say, oh, actually, there's nothing here. Because we weren't paying attention, we weren't doing our lessons properly. So then we say, oh, there's nothing actually here. Let me go over here instead. And so people turn to bogus spiritual paths, which is the worst thing, or they just get caught up in the material environment. So if we're not finding something in Krishna consciousness, we can't blame anyone or anything or blame the conception. We need to look at ourselves and ask, you know, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not finding taste here? Why am I not experiencing a dynamic spiritual life? You know, why am I not, you know, feeling challenged on deeper and deeper levels and feel that I'm progressing? How can I adjust my practice? What can I do to go deeper? We have to ask these questions. So that answers your question?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other question, this is the eternal question that we're all asking. How can we control our mind? I mean, first of all, we can say this, the way you phrased it, we're told we need to control these three things, you know, and in Sanskrit that's kai, man, vak. You know, kai, you know, the body, physically, man, mentally, and vakya, verbally. That is not our conception, actually. Our conception is, the conception of Vaishnav sannyas is that we engage these things. That is what the Tridanda stands for, right? In this age, karma sannyas is forbidden. You know, what the Mayavadis would take. It's one of there's, 4, 5, 6 things that are forbidden in Kali Yuga. And one of them is karma sannyas. Karma means activity, right? Action. And sannyas means to renounce. Samyak nyas, to give up everything. So this is like a Mayavad type of sannyas. You renounce the world and you just engage in meditation and cultivation of jnana. So that is forbidden for Kali, because it's not possible. Because our minds are, as you said, they're all over the place, you know. We can't do that. We'll just end up doing nonsense. But so then people ask sometimes, well then why did Mahaprabhu take sannyas? Why did Saraswati Thakur establish sannyas? Because this is not karma sannyas, this is another kind of sannyas. It's called Tridanda sannyas, and that Tridandas is symbolizing dedication of these three aspects, you know, physically, mentally, verbally. That in other words, every facet of our existence, every faculty of our existence, it will be positively engaged. We cannot renounce. It's not possible. And it's not a devotional approach anyway, you know. So that's like in our favor. It's never the devotional approach to renounce. It's an element of it, but mostly it's positive dedication, and then automatically that renunciation is following, right? By giving ourselves to something higher. You know, if you're chewing gum, then you're not smoking a cigarette. Just as a very, you know, gross example. If you put a dummy in the baby's mouth, and it's not going to cry, right? You're not going to tell the baby, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. It's just going to cry more, you know. So put something in the baby's mouth, you know, to keep it happy. Then automatically it's not crying. So that's what's advised. You know, we engage ourselves in devotion. Not that you don't speak, but speak about Krishna. Engage in kirtan. Not that you don't do anything. You know, even not that you don't get married and have a family. Get married, have your family, but raise them all children to be devotees of Krishna. Engage in service, engage in kirtan, engage in sadhu sangha. So the same thing with our mind, you know, we have to try to positively engage our mind as much as possible. And many recommendations are given. Some regulated lifestyle, regulated spiritual practice is helpful. Responsible service.
Holy name.
The holy name always. Srila Sridhar, she speaks about the value of responsible service as something that will capture the mind. You know, whether, I mean, you can understand responsible service in different ways. You know, you may say something that's really involved, you have to use your head for, not some mindless thing. That's one way we can understand it. But also it may be something that you're doing, you're like, you've made a promise, and I'm going to do this, you know, regularly. You know, whether it's once a day or once a week or once a month, you know, I'm going to do this service. I'm taking responsibility. So something that will capture the mind, you know, in some way. Pandita Devidas was just mentioning she's doing some proofreading now of Upadeshamrita, and how she's so happy because that service, it just totally, you have to really use your mind, you know, for that, you know. So those kind of services are nice. But in any way, if our mind can be captured by some seva, you know, then the mind it's a funny thing, you know. It's kind of like, sometimes it's compared to a puppy dog. And you got to train a puppy dog. If you train it, it can do many things for you. That's what we're told in Bhagavad Gita. The mind can be your best friend, or it can be your worst enemy. So udarat atmanatmanam natmanam avasat. You know, use your mind to uplift yourself, not to degrade yourself. So we have to like train our mind to work in our favor. We are told that the main function of the mind is acceptance and rejection, right? The mind is mainly dealing in the plane of like and dislike. I like it or I don't like it. This is good because it pleases me. This is bad because it doesn't please me. This is mainly how it's working. This is the tendency of the mind. So if we can train our mind like the way you might train a dog, this is good, this is bad, then your mind will start to change. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulya vivarjana. Accept what is favorable for devotion, reject what is unfavorable for devotion. So this is good for devotion, accept. This is bad for devotion, reject. We can train even ordinary people in the world, they talk about these type of techniques, that they use to make their lives more healthy, wealthy, and wise. So also with our spiritual life, the mind is a cover. It's one of the 8 main material energies. The subtle, the 5 gross and 3 subtle. So the mind, the intellect, and the false ego. So it's a covering. We can remember that too. Sometimes as we progress and more clarity comes within us, then more and more we'll feel some detachment from the mind. It's still there. There's still all these crazy things going on in our head, but we'll have this kind of distance. And we will, more and more, as we develop, we'll begin to recognize this mind as a separate entity. This isn't me, And we'll find things going on in our head sometimes and we think, I don't even think that. Why is this thought coming in my head about this person? I don't think that.
It's not a paranoia or schizophrenia, it's okay. When you don't think that your own thoughts are not...
Because it's old patterns,
Old what?
Patterns.
What's that?
Like old ways of thinking, things maybe from this life or from previous lives, but different ways that different thought processes that you've had before. Like you've expressed yourself, your mind goes in this way and you realize this isn't who I am, This is something separate.
But then you have already control. When you realize that, this comes up, but it's totally not what I want to think, and that is not how I want to think about that person, or something what you said. Then you have already control, because,
Well, not necessarily, at least not in the beginning. I mean, many of us experience, our mind is telling us something, and we feel helpless, and we're going along with that. But there's also a part of us which is thinking, I don't want to be doing this, But that clarity is the starting point. So yes, eventually, by that type of consciousness that is a result of grace, we will get to that point of overcoming the mind. But it may not be like that right away, We will feel helpless.
From everything, your question, the main thing is an earnest desire to overcome or the offense. Then it will have, if that desire is so strong, then it will go in a good direction and you will get grace, what you're saying. And also with the mind, like if there's an earnest desire to see, okay, that is on the plane of the ego, and the mind wants to be loose, it's like a spoiled brat actually, right? Wants to think so many things. But if you say, no, I'm not that, I'm soul, and I want to chant, or I want to control it, or what Vishakha says, have responsible service, then it will eventually go.
And then also the Bhagavad Gita advises that we use our intellect, to master the mind also, like through discrimination and reason, which is informed by spiritual principles, then we can also have some mastership of the mind in that way also.
So in this logic, consciousness is a synonym for soul. It's higher than intellect.
The consciousness is, yes, pure consciousness, that is an aspect of the soul, right? Which is in the background of everything. But, how much we are able to tap into that, that will be different from person to person. But in the meantime, if we, try to inform ourselves with, inform the functions of our intellect and our mind with the teachings of, Sadhu and Shastra, then we're in a safe position. There's something else I wanted to say. I think I just wanted to emphasize that, to a certain extent, we just have to tolerate, and just feel that distance. Things are like popping off in our head,
Like observers.
Like what?
Observers.
Sorry, what did you say?
Observer.
Yeah, an observer. Yeah, because it's all a result of our, these things, they move in kind of like a vicious cycle. Some material tendency emerges as a result of what we previously did. So what we previously did, that has created some inclination, some tendency to do it again. And so generally it's moving in this vicious cycle. But so it's like we have to break the cycle and realize these are seeds, Papa Bij, the seeds of sin. These are seeds which have been created as a result of my previous activity. So now these seeds are like popping in the form of mundane desires and thoughts, inclinations. I just have to let them pop and don't act on them. And then they'll leave me, it will go. Then that's a layer of ego that's left you. You'll be clear of that. So that type of, one way, Chagying Maharaj put it nicely, if it's a rainy day, put on your raincoat. So these things are going off in our head, and we just okay, let's wait for the rain to pass. It will pass. And when we can do that, actually, it can be astonishing how, we experience such a transformation. Like in that moment, it feels so all-consuming and, devastating. But a few moments later, the sun's out and there's a rainbow. And it makes you realize how ridiculous it is, that we allow ourselves to become so disturbed by something which is so temporary, and so illusory, actually. So that type of, patience and tolerance, that will take us a long way. Utsahan Nishtaya Darjat, this is mentioned in Upadeshamrita, is patience. Patience. That is very helpful to us. That clarity, what's really Sambandha Gyan, understand, having some clarity on what is my real nature and what's actually happening here, and waiting for it to pass, and at the same time waiting for the Lord's grace, praying and waiting earnestly. That is also very important. That is fundamental, as Didi has expressed, that aspiration, that earnestness for the Lord's grace. We must maintain that simultaneously. And, we may not immediately feel a result, but if we look back 1 year, a few years we may find, oh, I've made some progress, you know. Previously I had this habit and this tendency, and I've left that, you know. Right now I'm not feeling like I'm getting very far, I'm not making much progress, but if I look back, previously I see I have made some, in some tangible way I've been able to leave this, I'm now engaging in this, so something's happening. There is some transformation taking place.
Not to contemplate on it when it's there, not to let the mind linger on it. Like right away, take the holy name or it's like that is most helpful. When there is something, not to contemplate on it, otherwise too long, otherwise you're undone and then it goes deeper. Isn't it, Didi?
Sure, yeah. And it's also easy to become pessimistic, you know, if we dwell too much.
Yeah.
But yes, calling out the names of the Lord. Also, we're advised call out the names of the Vaishnavas. You know, they are alive in the world of consciousness. The Lord is present in His holy name. The Vaishnavas are also present in their names. By invoking, you know, we are invoking their presence by chanting their names. And how much power, how much potency is there. Well, should we stop there? Any last?
Utsaha means patience.
No, utsaha means enthusiasm. These are the 6... math was never my best subject. 6 favorable qualities. It's the 3rd verse, 2nd or 3rd of Upadeshamrita. And they're also mentioned in this Ohe Vaishnava Thakura song. Utsaha means enthusiasm, eagerness. Nishchoya means confidence or conviction. And daryat, patience, determination, perseverance, this type of spirit. Tat karma pravartanat means to engage in all of the recommended devotional activities. Sango tyagat, to give up bad association. Sango sato utsahan nishtaya darya tat karma pravartanat sango tyagat sato vrite, literally means to follow in the footsteps, to follow the sadhu. In other words, sadhu sangha. Keeping that higher positive association. Shadbi Bhakti Prashidyati. These 6 qualities are nourishing to devotion.
And what are the things you mentioned that are forbidden for Kali Yuga?
Oh,
Not forbidden, but not...
they're not things that are really so relevant. Like one of them is the horse sacrifice, and one of them is having a child in the wife of your brother or something like that. And we've also heard that it's forbidden to fast for more than 24 hours in Kali Yuga.
What was the question?
Because we mentioned how certain things are forbidden in Kali Yuga. So none of them are like so relevant. But that karma sannyas, it is one that comes up, you know, because people ask that question, like, hang on a minute, why are we doing that then? All right. Well, Sachi Didi, would you like to sing? Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar. Well, I'm happy to have some nice discussion with all of you. a nice group here, and we have tonight also, and tomorrow morning, and then Wednesday night I'm traveling. So we still have a few more classes together.
Nice. Hari Radhaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya